Hi there. This video is part of a blog series on MakerBot.com's blog about using MakerBots for miniatures. I make scale models as a part of my work, and I've been using my MakerBot replicator to print all sorts of furniture details and architectural details to help me out in that process. And I've been writing a blog series about my workflow. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about how I've been using Autodesk 123D Catch to create scans of furniture. I need furniture all the time, and so I've been scanning with 123D Catch furniture pieces that I come across in my daily life, and I've done quite a few of these over the past few months, and it wasn't until I'd done several scans that I realized that I'd been missing out on a key feature that is already built in to this program. So this is a chair. You might recognize it if you frequent Thingiverse. It's a chair from my mother's basement. I've already done a little bit of processing manually, working in a few photos, but for the most part the scan came in pretty well. So what we're going to do is we're going to use these creation tools to create a reference point and then creating a distance measure so that we can indicate how large we want our exported STL to be. Before we get started, you want to make sure that images are turned on. So I had called my mother up and asked her to measure this chair in the basement because I had neglected to do so the first time that I scanned it. And she told me that the measurement of the front from here to here is 30 inches. Now I've talked a lot in my blog posts about how to deal with scale and how to deal with conversions from the imperial system to the metric system. But just to do a quick calculation, so 30 inches is how long this distance is. I'm going to multiply it by the scale factor that I use often. I usually build my models in 1/2 inch to a foot, which the scale factor is 1 to 24, and 1 divided by 24 is 0.042. And then I'm also going to multiply it by 25.4, which is the conversion factor to go from inches to millimeters. And so that gives me a value of 32 millimeters. So when I print out this chair for use in a scale model, I want it to be 32 millimeters from this point to this point. So let's get started using the tools that Autodesk has for us to create this distance. So we're going to go into PhotoLock. And I'm going to try to find a good image that has these points that are pretty easy to see. This is an optimum image for this just because the corners are a little rounded, and you really want to try to pick reference distances that are really easy to see in the photos. But we're going to do this anyway. So we're going to go to create a reference point. And we're going to drop a point right on this corner, and that looks about right to me. Great, so we have this red point in this one photo. You can see how it's pinned here. Now this little green dot has cropped up in a bunch of other photos as well, and so I'm going to just go on a few of them and click on it and make sure to just sort of refine that distance. And if you do that in a few different views, you're ensuring that you get a slightly more accurate point. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to pinpoint the other side of the chair here. That's not the best view. Let me see if I can find a better one. This one's good here. So I'm going to go back up to our creation tools, create a reference point, See, this is what I'm talking about. It's a little hard to see. Oops. Sort of got away from me there. Let me try that one more time. And then I'm going to take a look at a few more. See, this one's way off. Whenever possible, you want to pick square corners that are really easy to pin, but in this instance, we're just doing the best we can. Yeah, that one's pretty good. Maybe we'll try this one right here. Great. So I'm pretty confident that between the various points that we've selected on those photos that these are pretty accurate. So we're going to go to create a, define a reference distance. So you click on one point to the next. And it's measuring it at 14.53, which is pretty random and doesn't mean much to us. And so we're going to input that distance essentially of the number of millimeters we want it to print. You could input the inches it is, but then you have to do your math later. So I've just found it's easier to indicate directly in 123D Catch how large you want it to print when it's exported. And so previously I did the math that I want it to be 32 millimeters from point to point in my final print. So there we go, 32 millimeters. And so this is pretty much ready to go. And then all we need to do is export our scene as an object. And then later, in another mesh program, I'll turn it into an STL. But that's pretty much my process for using 123D Catch as a part of my miniatures workflow.